Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar Wednesday. My name is Stephen Phelps, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Acumen. And today we have our Practice Director, Nick Nabozny, to go over what's new with Sage Intacct. But before he begins, please note that this webinar is in listen-only mode. And if you have any questions, then please use the chat option, and we will answer near the end of the presentation. We have a lot to cover within 30 minutes. So I will now pass it on to Nick.
Thanks very much, Stephen, and thank you everyone for joining the call this morning or afternoon, wherever you are. As Stephen said, we are going to cover quite a bit of material today as far as what's new in the last two releases of Sage Intacct. So I'm going to keep it very, very high level. Won't go into too much detail about each of the features because we could spend all day talking about this, but please, if there's anything that you'd like to drill into a bit deeper, don't hesitate to reach out to us, to either your account manager or even to Stephen or myself, and then we can certainly get you pointed in the right direction and be happy to talk about these in a bit more detail for you. So with that being said, let's kind of jump right into it. Wanted to start with the last release from 2022, which is Q4's release, and just cover a few of those highlights because really the last 6 months have been some huge enhancements to the product with add-on pieces like AP automation and payroll. So I thought we'd go back even one more release and really just cover kind of those two together and make sure everyone is caught up to the latest release. So we're going to start with 2022 Q4 and just talk through the release components there. So each release, Intacct focuses on a few different missions, right? So they always want to continue to support their best-in-class financial mantra. They always want to continue to enhance the digital network. And then they also like to release features or functionality that allows us to cross industries. And we like that because that allows Acumen to help clients in many different industries. And it allows us to take Sage Intacct and make it fit certain industries where before that particular functionality or release, we may not have been able to do that. So in 2022, this is a list of some of the highlights. We're not going to go through every single feature release. I am going to show you some of the highlight points, and I'm also going to show you how to look some of this information up in your own Sage Intacct instance so that you can see videos and get a bit more detail on things if you'd like to do some digging on your own. But for 2022 Q4 or release 4, Sage Intacct Planning, the data entry screens got enhanced, and they went from a page entry screen to a grid entry screen. We're probably all comfortable and familiar with Excel, so to make it look and feel like Excel, that was really great. They've enhanced a new product called Lease accounting automation for those of you that may need to or looking into bringing in or handling leases in the system. They've released Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP. We've got 1099 e-filing enhancements, some updated bank filing for areas outside of the UK, outside of the US, specifically France and Ireland, and then done quite a work with compliance documentation and training. And then on the right for different industries, they're continuing to enhance the construction payroll, Sage Intelligent Time Entry, which may fit for some of you on the call today. Let's take a look at those at a little bit deeper level. So Sage Intacct Planning, for those of you on the call that are using it already today, or those that may want to look at it, the kind of older screen was more of a page screen, right? Where I could look at a single line like professional services revenue here and enter in my numbers for an individual month. I had to open it up. I had to fill in all the variables, and I can toggle back and forth back to that. But now I can just kind of quickly go across in this grid. Again, that Excel look and feel that we're all comfortable with. has been a big popular change. Clients that are using it have really, really liked it. We've gotten really good feedback from the clients who are using that today. And then they also allowed us to bring in statistical accounts. You could always put variables and things like that in your budgets and forecasts, but now you can leverage the statistical accounts that are in Sage Intacct to bring that in to be used in those calculations. So another really powerful piece that can really help you be more efficient, be more granular, be more accurate in your budgeting forecasting. The lease accounting automation is really a new module. You can think of it for us. It allows you to manage and track everything from the lessee side, automate all of the accounting entries across a period of time for that lease. Of course, compliance with things like ASC 842, tying those leases out to contracts, automate the revenue recognition, time to right of use assets, and of course ensure like compliance across all of the different standards that are applicable to your industry if you're doing those kind of leases and lease tracking. Sage Intacct Payroll has been a huge release, something that the team at Acumen's been very excited about. It is finally available for us now in general availability. And kind of spoiler alert, please watch out for a webinar specifically on Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP in the near future. If anyone is interested in learning more about that, please reach out to your account manager and be happy to get you that information. Make sure you're signed up for that session. But it's very exciting to have a world-class leader like ADP powering our payroll module. So payroll and HCM now connected together with Sage Intacct Accounting. And again, this has been a huge win for Sage, for ADP, and certainly for Acumen clients, because now you can use payroll inside of Sage Intacct. And that's been really powerful and popular. Clients have been actually calling us to get some more information on that and make a switch. 1099 e-filing, right? We all have to do 1099s at the end of the year. You could always do that inside Sage Intacct. You could always create them, modify them, track them. All of that has remained the same. Make your edits and set everything up in the system. What's new now is this side. A partnership with Tax Bandits allows you to easily e-file through Tax Bandits. There's really kind of two components now. You'll have the Sage Intacct component, which you've always had, which you've always used to print the 1099s or download them and upload the information to file those. But now you'll be able to use Tax Bandits to kind of pull that information in automatically. They will do the checking for any errors that might be there that will cause problems with the IRS requirements. And so that's been another popular add-on for clients that have a large number of 1099s that really want to get out of that kind of printing paper and mailing mode for things like 1099 forms. Sage Intelligent Time has always been really one of my favorite pieces of Sage Intacct for clients in the right industries. When you're tracking time for projects, you're tracking time for grants, there's a mobile piece for it. It is like a timesheet with AI or artificial intelligence built into the system, and they continue to enhance this. It is now connected for grants to really be specific and granular and make sure you're aligning your time to the right place, so you're getting reimbursements and things like that. And then project and costing, now being able to bill every billable minute, increasing accuracy of the jobs, and also helping with future costs, future bids, future proposals. That's been a really big win from 2022 Release 4. Okay, let's now fast forward to Sage Intacct 2023 R1 or Release 1. So this is this year's quarterly release, and we'll go through some of the features that are available here. And so really the big one is AP automation. So you had payments before, right? And you could use CSI, you could always cut checks, of course, you could process credit cards. Now we have automation in accounts payable as well to get those bills in the system. Enhancements with getting credits in the system and applying them to bills when you're paying. Enhancements to the vendor screens, and I'm actually going to jump over and show you this one at the end because this is coming across Intacct soon. So becoming familiar with it now is really a good thing. I think it's a great change, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. And they've been working on, again, that same cross-industry functionality for not-for-profits, for subscriptions, for projects-based businesses, and continuing to enhance the functionality there. Now, as I said, AP automation, right? Now we kind of are able to automate both sides, both ends of the accounts payable workflow. You can automate the AP bill or the AP invoice by uploading it in the system. You can email it in to a website, or to an email address, excuse me, and the system, Sage Intacct itself, will use artificial intelligence to read that invoice, add it to the system as a draft, where you can then review it, update it, edit it as needed, and submit it through your workflow to approve. And then, of course, CSI is still here. That's the payment provider or the payment automation provider of choice. It's seamlessly linked inside of Sage Intacct and allows us to automate, as I said, the entire workflow from beginning to end for accounts payable. For any of you that have credit notes in accounts payable, it was a little bit clunky to be able to add those or apply those credits when you're on the pay bill screen here. Oops. So I am in the pay bill screen and I'm wanting to process payments. Now I can look for certain credits by a date range. You can exclude credits that may have been created before or after the matching dates in the AP bills section. And it really saves you time by reducing the need to drill into those details individually and specifically exclude credits, right? So it was a little bit clunky to kind of get through that when you had a number of them out there. It could take some time. Vendor usability enhancements. This is really what I was just talking about with that vendor list. So anytime you're looking at a list, whether that's vendors, a list of customers, a list of orders, a list of GL accounts, this is going to be the new look and feel for those views or those UIs or user interfaces. You'll be able to do some advanced filtering and sorting. You'll be able to split the screen. You'll be able to do batch operations like bulk deletes, bulk updates, bulk changes. And so they're making the ability to work with these large number of pieces of data, like huge list of vendors or GL accounts or customers, orders, journal entries, all those kind of things. Everything's a list when you first click on it, and they're going to make these all look and feel like what you see in the background here, which is the new list view, but they're starting with accounts payable. They've enhanced the tax automation, may not be applicable to anyone on the call here, really helpful for our clients up in Canada with VAT and GST, and certainly outside the US, also in the UK, and then also electronic filing for South Africa. But if you don't need that, certainly we can just ignore those things, leave them out there, leave them turned off, but they are very helpful as we continue to grow into other regions, other countries with Sage Intacct. And then for project-based businesses, they're continuing to enhance the flexibility for project management. Down here, where we're looking at generating invoice improvements, I'm able to see a bit more of what's been paid already, what's going on with older invoices as I'm doing billing for new pieces of the project, new phases, new tasks, new line items on that project. And then project manager users, which is only really applicable for clients using the project management module or the project's application, but they're going to allow more permissions where you'll be able to access sales orders, to do some of those billings, to get into those sales transactions and look for a credit note, look for a bill, process a quote, those types of things, and really enhance what a project manager user can do in the system. So before we kind of just open it up, Stephen, for Q&A, I'd like to just go in and talk a little bit about how to find these features inside of Intacct, how to navigate to the release notes, how to look for these videos so that you can go back and look at some of this information on your own. And then I'm going to show you a little bit more about that new vendor list screen and what you can do there. But please go ahead and put some questions that you might have in the chat or the Q&A section here. Stephen will work on kind of gathering those together, and we'll take a look at them as soon as we come back. So let's come out of here for a moment and jump over to Sage Intacct. Stephen, can you still see my Intacct okay?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, so we're here in Sage Intacct, right? And if I go to the home page, a lot of you may already jump right in or have set your preferences to be able to start with a dashboard or start at GL if I work with GL every day, or start with a report if I'm over there. But if I click on the home page, I can come down to this page where I get some information about keeping up with Sage Intacct. I'm able to navigate and browse around to different entities here. I have a message board. I can set shortcuts for applications. But down here, in my help and support section, I'm able to jump into release notes here. And then I can scroll all the way back to the last 6 or 8 different releases. And even online, you can go back further if you want to. But you can click into each one of them. There'll be a nice little video going through each of the different functions or features that they've added in detail. And they will cover them and how to do them, how to turn them on. And then, of course, we're here to help as well. For those of you that are on the line that are part of our customer success plan, the account manager can certainly get you scheduled for that review in detail with one of our consultants, talk you through it. What does it mean for you? How do we turn it on? And we're glad to help, or we're happy to help you with those kind of things. So you can go to the main page there and you're able to click into the release notes section here to see what's going on, what's coming, what's out there, what's just been added. And also when you're working with Intacct, at the top, when it's time for a new release, maybe a week or so out, maybe 2 weeks, you'll see pop-ups at the top of your Intacct as well, where they'll start to show you what's coming. You can get previews of all of the release information in advance. Okay. Let's finish up here looking at our vendor list view. And as I said, if I click on vendors or lists or GL accounts or fixed assets, right? When I click on something like this, this is called a list view in Sage Intacct. And we've talked about this with lots of clients. You can manage these views. You can change these views. You can change and say, I made one called Nick's View, which has pretty much the same information, but I wanted to have vendor type show up. Maybe I want to have the description field or a reference field show up. So you could always modify these screens, but what they've done is up here, and again, it's only on vendors today, right? You can turn on the lists beta interface. And you can go back here, turn it off if you don't happen to like it. But now I'm able to do all kinds of complex or advanced filtering when I'm looking for certain things. If I'm looking for, say, a vendor that contains something, or a name that contains something that equals, does not equal, and then I want a status of balance of 0 or balance over 5,000, I can still go to manage view and set up a view and add columns to this, change columns. I can sort things, I can move columns around. So I'm really excited about it because it takes what we had and really even goes a step or two further. And it allows us to really search any way we want, have multiple lists set up. I can have them stored here in my drop downs. So I might want a few of them for me. I haven't saved any for myself yet, but I can create one that might have food and beverage vendors for some of our hospitality clients on the line, one that are professional service vendors, vendors with a balance, vendors that are in my state, vendors that are between A and J, because that's who I deal with, right, every day. So you're able to customize the look and feel for yourself and make it easier to work with. And I love that that's going to come throughout the entire system. You'll be able to send feedback if you want. If you like something, you don't like something, you have a suggestion or a tweak, Sage is really good about listening to that feedback and putting that into production in the future. Okay, Stephen, let's go ahead and open that up for some Q&A. See if we have any questions come in that we can cover.
Perfect. Yep. So I'll open up the chat and question box right now. We did have one that came in. They asked, how many releases does Sage Intacct have in a year, and when will the next release be?
Great question. So they are quarterly releases, right? So there are 4 releases each year. And the next release is going to be in May. You'll see it's typically the 2nd Friday in the month. And so just before that, you'll start to see some information up at the top, and that will be pushed out automatically. So what I really like is there's no more upgrading, right? You don't have to stop and shut everything down. You come in the morning and the system is already upgraded for me with all the features.
Perfect. And we'll just give it a few more minutes. I don't see any other questions coming in, but if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to type them. Or if there's a question that you have after the webinar, you can always reach out to your account manager. All right, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. So thank you guys all again for joining us today. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your assigned account manager or email us at am@acumenfl.com. Within the next few weeks, we'll be hosting webinars with third-party vendors such as PlayIQ and Orchid. And we will also have the webinar for Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP in June. So please be on the lookout for webinar invitations there. And with that, just want to say thank you again, Nick, for the great presentation. And we look forward to seeing you all on our next webinar Wednesday.